Not being alive to witness ECW or been able to go to any of the live events fucking hurts, and I wish I could. But looking back on the old pay-per-views, I really think that Guilty as Charged 99 is the greatest pay-per-view that they have ever produced. From technical wrestling, to having crazy spot fest matches, to having that big fight feel, it had every single element you could ever want in a wrestling pay-per-view. So to kick off 1999, ECW brings to us Guilty as Charged. To start off, we have Tajiri versus Super Crazy. Matter of fact, this was the first time these two ever went against each other on pay-per-view. It's kinda weird seeing Tajiri without the long black pants and the green musk, but anyway. But yo, this match was fucking crazy. You had both men pulling off high-flying moves, crazy back and forths. They were diving to the outside, it was insane. It was a good way to leave an impression throughout the start of the show. And Tajiri ultimately came out with the win. But yo, this was just a great high-flying technical match. And now we have the debut of Sid. Yo, the crowd was going crazy when he came out. This match was just a squash match. Pretty much how all the matches in ECW went with Sid, but it was fucking great. Yo, John Kronos got thrown over the ropes at the tables, he got hit with steel chairs to the head, he took power bombs, but it was a really fun match. Next up we have the Dudleys versus Spike and New Jack, and of course before the match the Dudleys have to cut a promo just ripping into the crowd. People say that all they did was get cheap heat by doing this, but they did more than just talk shit to the fans before their matches. Like remember the time they broke Bueller's neck? And then Natural Born Killer starts to play, or the network version of it. The crowd throwing up the X sign, out comes New Jack and Spike. This match is probably how you expect it to go, you know, New Jack coming out with his trademark trash can and just hitting people with whatever type of weapon. So is this some 5-star classic? Of course not, but it had some cool moments, especially when Spike got thrown into the crowd. It was like a cool throwback to Bam Bam Bigelow. So the Dudleys ended up picking up the win, and then continued to shit talk the fans after the match and called out the Public Enemy. And now we have Rob Van Dam versus Lance Storm for the TV title. This match was originally supposed to be RVD versus Masato Tanaka, but something happened, so this was the new outcome of the match. But this match was really great. All the people that said ECW's about blood and guts and whatnot, this is a perfect example of it's not. Like they had great athletes and great wrestlers who could put on really good matches. This was by far my favorite match on the card. It had a lot of original moves, like when Lance Storm drop kicked Van Dam off the top rope into the rail, and then both men jumping off the rail and doing springboard moves onto each other. It was crazy. But this match was just so fast paced and just so enjoyable to watch. It kinda kicked off the start of RVD's run from 99 when he just had a long streak of incredible matches. And RVD ended up retaining his title in a really great match. Now it's time for the main event. It was originally supposed to be Sabu versus Shane Douglas, but Douglas was too scared to face him. Knowing what happened to Barely Legal, Shane Douglas offered Taz Francine, the triple threat, and money if he could take Sabu out of the main event. So Taz willingly took out Sabu not once, not twice, but 3 times, and he was out of the main event. But on an episode of ECW, Taz told Shane that he doesn't want what he offered him, all he wants is a shot at the heavyweight title. And the match was made for Guilty as Charged. Watching the build up for this match, it really just had that big fight feel. So Taz comes out with the chewed up towel, the orange lighting looking like the baddest motherfucker on the planet. And of course folds his arms and stands in the corner and waits for Douglas. There was a really cool moment where Taz actually came out the corner to have a face off with Douglas. So the match starts off with chain wrestling and Douglas gets suplexed a couple of times and then they take it to the outside. Taz gets thrown over the rail right into the crowd and they're brawling up the stairs, through the crowd, they're going over the whole building almost. Taz actually ends up suplexing Douglas over the rail onto concrete or some shit. But the match ends up back in the ring and Douglas sets up a table and just throws Taz right through it. He tries to do the same thing again, but Taz ends up reversing it and suplexing him right through the table. I just have to say that WWE messed up so much with Taz. He was so underused. They had one big superstar in their hands and they just fucked it up. And then all of a sudden, the lights go out. But this ain't no Undertaker. Fireworks start going off and the camera points towards the entrance. It's Sabu, with one of the greatest visuals in ECW history. He just charges to the ring, takes both of them down with a double clothesline and goes crazy. And Sabu sets up a chair, goes on the top rope and dives onto both of them. And then he sets up Shane Douglas on the table and just does a springboard leg drop right through him. And then he sets up Taz on the table and dives through him as well. He just went crazy like he normally does, but then he leaves. And then comes Chris Candido. Douglas, thinking he's gonna help him, just lays him out with a punch and turns his back on the triple threat. Taz seizes his opportunity and puts Shane Douglas in the Taz mission. Douglas finally taps out and Taz ends the long reign of Shane Douglas and becomes the new ECW World Heavyweight Champion. I feel like this match was the end of an era. It was the end of the triple threat, it was the end of Shane Douglas' title reign, and it was kind of the end of him. And it also introduced us to Taz's new reign as the ECW World Heavyweight Champion. Yo, thank you for making it to the end of this video, and I would love to see everyone else's opinion on what they think of this pay-per-view.